Hello, I am so happy to be back on here with all of you this week. For those of you who are new to me and my work, my name is Krista Davis. I am a certified professional coach. I teach women how to gain the confidence and clarity to love their jobs or leave them. Today's topic was directly inspired by a conversation I had with a woman last week. And how the conversation started was really being honest about how, as much as we love to empower women and see women in leadership positions, a lot of women don't always support other women. And women tend to put other women down rather than bringing them back up. And as we continued to talk, what this conversation looked at was about how to handle criticism, and not constructive criticism or feedback, which can be very helpful, but criticism that shuts us down and is more about the other person and their stuff than it is about us. For example, the woman who I was speaking with shared with me about how one time she was denied a job offer. She was one of the top two candidates, and the VP of the company, a woman, called her up and told her that they weren't picking her because she was too ambitious for the role, and that she had to check her goals, that her goals were something that she should be aiming for 10 years in advance rather than in the 2 years that she had stated, like her 2-year goals. My friend, the woman who I was speaking with, she said it was hard to hear that. She knew it wasn't true, and luckily she found another job and she's crushing it. So she turned out very well. But what I wanted to look at here is, how many of us have been in those situations where it's not feedback or constructive criticism. We're just being shut down. And it can make us feel a bunch of different ways. Perhaps you get defensive, angry, or you shut down. Maybe even a part of you believes it. So I wanted to come on here and talk about a few things that you can do to handle those situations with grace, and also how to deal with those feelings that come up within yourself. First, I love a great way to kind of test out someone's feedback. So let's say you get a comment from someone in the workplace. Perhaps they said something like general, like, oh, you were being aggressive in that meeting, or you're very bossy or loud, whatever that might be. A great way to check them and see if their feedback is valid is to ask them, what are some examples that you can share in which I was demonstrating that behavior? And not in a defensive way. You can say, oh, that's concerning to me to hear that. Would you mind sharing some examples of where I've specifically behaved in that way? Now, their answer will say a lot. If they don't have examples, then you know that that's probably not very valid. Or if they do have examples, that can give you an opportunity to see really what they're talking about, and if there perhaps is some truth to it, or if it's really just nonsense. Second thing that you can do is one that I like to use a lot, especially when I started out with my own business and coaching. People would like to sometimes comment on my age and being young, slip that into conversations. And if you experience that, or kind of like those generalized comments that you don't really appreciate, a great way to kind of confront the other person is just to ask, well, what makes you say that? What do you mean by that? So that's, asking them to explain what they mean, what their issue is. And it's also a kind way, you don't want to get angry when you say this, but a kind way of kind of reflecting the mirror back on them. Because a lot of times in these moments, it's really their own stuff that they're projecting onto you. So those are two great questions that you can ask to kind of continue the conversation, see if perhaps there is something there that's worth listening to. The third piece of today's topic is really how to handle yourself. And it can sting sometimes when someone doubts you, your goals, and gives you some type of criticism that just isn't very, very kind. And take some time to maybe, talk to someone who is supportive and share what happened. Take some time to slow down and understand perhaps what they said, what's that triggering, what's being triggered within you, and slowing down and maybe journaling about it, because it can be hurtful. Even though people, they may not mean it, it can be hurtful to sometimes get these generalized comments. And I know my friend's story that I shared earlier, she said, I knew it wasn't true, but it still hurt. Finally, I'm here really to tell all of you, this is why I do this work, is that if there is something that you want to achieve, you have a big goal for yourself, whatever that might be, and people doubt you or put you down, brush it off. The amount of things that people have said to me, when I said I was going to start my business, who's going to hire you? How are you going to make money? All the things. And yeah, it got to me, but you know what? That's their limitations. People are imposing their limitations on you, and do not let that stop you. Because I'm here to tell you that if there's something that you want to achieve, if you believe it, you can achieve it. I hope this is helpful for all of you today. And if you have any questions for me, I would love to hear from you. And if you have a story, perhaps where you got some feedback like this that really wasn't genuine, how did you handle it? Would love to hear from you, and I hope you all found this post to be valuable today.